Verse 246 from Surah Al-Baqarah, which says, "Have you not considered the assembly of the children of Israel after Moses, when they said to a prophet of theirs, 'Send us a king, and we will fight in the way of Allah'? He said, 'Would you perhaps refrain from fighting if fighting was prescribed for you?' They said, 'And why should we not fight in the way of Allah when we have been driven out from our homes and our children?' But when fighting was prescribed for them, they turned away, except for a few of them. And Allah is knowing of the wrongdoers." The truth here, in very brief terms. What does this verse say? It says that after Moses, after the prophet Moses, some of the children of Israel worshipped idols. Pay attention to the story because it involves a very big issue. As we said, after the death of the prophet Moses, some of the children of Israel worshipped idols, meaning they disbelieved. So, they were subjected. Put the word subjected in brackets here. Who is saying what I am saying here? Ibn Kathir. Allah subjected their enemies upon them. Very well. In the exact words or letter of Ibn Kathir, he tells me they were killed in a great massacre. Our Lord subjected their enemies upon them, and they were killed in a very great massacre, like a slaughter. And many of them were captured, and their lands were taken from them. And they took their lands from them, and they took their lands from them, and they took their lands from them, and they took their lands from them. And they took the Torah and the Ark from them. They took all of that, their country and their land, and they left their children, the Ark and the Torah. And not only that, but prophecy was also cut off from their tribes, which is what? Meaning the tribe called Levi. There was a tribe or group, the group of Levi, from which prophets always came. Prophecy was also cut off. Thus, the world turned against the Israelites because of their worship of idols. God set their enemies upon them, and they did all of this to them. I still say that Ibn Kathir's words are very good indeed. Of course, nothing remained of this tribe, the tribe of Levi, except for one elderly woman who was barren. Then she became pregnant by her husband. So the Israelites took her and put her in a house until she prayed to God to bless her with a boy. And indeed, he blessed her with a boy. And of course, there were different names given to this boy. Some say his name was Samuel, as mentioned by Al-Qurtubi, who talks about the names. He says some claim his name was Samuel, others say it was Simon, and some say it was Simeon. So, when the woman called upon God and he heard her call and responded to it, she named him Simeon. Take note of the people who attribute the name of the boy or child to Jacob. His name is Simeon, a descendant of Jacob, and some people said he was from the people of Aaron, not from the people of Jacob. Others said his name was Joshua, son of Nun, and some said his name was Ishmael. Very well, there are 6 opinions about this prophet, which is quite interesting. Therefore, if you go back to the verse or open the Quran with me while I'm speaking, what does it say? Have you not considered the assembly of the children of Israel after Moses when they said to a prophet? They are not sure who he is exactly. Anyway, to keep it brief, according to this verse, when this child reached the age of prophethood, God revealed to him and commanded him to begin his mission with the call to monotheism, or the oneness of God, meaning he was to call the children of Israel to the oneness of God. Anyway, this child or prophet, whose name we do not know, there are 6 opinions on his name, and I honestly don't know why God did not specify his name, but in any case. The children of Israel said to him, "O our prophet, we want you to appoint for us a king, or a leader, or a minister of defense, whatever you wish, so that he may lead us." in a war against our enemies who have left our children and taken our homes and everything beautiful. Right. So, the prophet asked them. They said to him, "We want a king or a leader." He said to them, "Very well. If God sends you a leader, will you fight alongside him or retreat?" They said to him, "We will fight alongside him. How could we not fight? How could we not fight when our land, our children, and all our possessions have been taken from us, along with the Torah and the Ark?" So, the important thing is, according to what Ibn Kathir says, when fighting was prescribed for them. And indeed a prophet was appointed for them, as mentioned in the upcoming verses, which we will discuss shortly. The Israelites withdrew from fighting. The important thing here, in truth, is that I have a few questions. If things had gone as explained, it's clear and simple. I can repeat it again, but I'm sure. It's simple, really. What is the connection between verse 246 and verse 245? Here we are talking about the Israelites and how they worshipped idols, and that God sent a prophet or revealed to a prophet, and so on. Then the prophet said to them, they asked him to appoint a king for them. He said, "All right, if I appoint a king for you, if God sends you a king, will you listen to him and fight alongside him?" And then, when a king was appointed for them, they withdrew from fighting. What is the connection between this and the verse about giving God a good loan in verse 245, which we ended the last video with? The story of Abu Darda, wasn't it Abu Darda when God called him to bring the children and he left from the tree of Darda, which had 600 or 500 productive palm trees, something like that? What is the connection between this and that? Does anyone have an idea? I mean, please, because honestly, I don't have anything inside me, really. Nothing at all. The whole story, we're not in it. What is the connection between this and that? Because this is a very significant shift. I don't see any link of any kind, neither temporal nor spatial, nor with the characters of the story. Nothing at all, really, in any way. The second question, or rather the second query, is how does God allow their enemies to prevail over them, and then send them a prophet, and then send them a leader, who is Talit, as mentioned in the upcoming verses, and then command them to fight their enemies? But isn't it you who initially allowed the enemies to prevail over them? I don't understand, to be honest, I don't understand this story. I mean, I get it. But the logic of it, God allows their enemies to prevail over them, then sends them a prophet and a king, and asks them to fight, to go and kill their enemy. I don't understand. Okay, and what about the people who died, the people who were captured, and all of that? What is all of this? Anyway, the third question, which we will conclude this verse with, is who is saying to whom? Have you not seen? I mean, how does the verse start? Have you not seen the assembly of the children of Israel? Who is saying to whom? Is God saying this to Prophet Muhammad? And what is Prophet Muhammad's connection to the matter? Or is God saying this to us humans, meaning, we haven't seen it clearly? And then the more important question than all of this is, why didn't God specify the name of the prophet? Is it conceivable that he would specify the name of the king, Talit, who is mentioned in the following verse, but not specify the name of the prophet, to whom God revealed and asked him to call the Israelites to monotheism, yet his name isn't mentioned? I will actually show you a video for a minute, or a minute and a half, or so from one of the sheikhs. I might accept a sheikh coming out and saying that God's not specifying the name of the prophet is a matter of divine knowledge known only to him. I accept this, as it's a matter of religious mystery. But to come out with this justification and fabrication is completely unacceptable, in truth, because he says that part of his justification, which you'll see in the video now, is that God did not mention the time, place, or prophet because we don't need to know. Who told you? That we don't need to know? Well, I want to know. Let's watch the video. The Holy Quran did not specify for us.
This period was not clarified. This time was not mentioned to us, nor was the place, nor even the name of the prophet. Why did God not mention these things? No place, no time, no name of the prophet. Why? Because the Quran always mentions what has practical benefit, or a benefit in belief, or a benefit in worship. Here, there is no benefit in knowing the time, the place, or the prophet. However, it was specified that these people were from the children of Israel in the period following the mission of Moses, peace be upon him, and his ascension to the highest companion. Could it have been during the time of Joshua bin Nun? Was it after that? Allah and his messenger know best. But certainly, this story, this tale, occurred with the details of its events as mentioned in the Holy Quran. Verse 247 says, "And their prophet said to them, Indeed, Allah has appointed Talit as a king for you."
They said, "How can he have kingship over us while we are more deserving of kingship than him, and he has not been given an abundance of wealth?" He said, "Indeed, Allah has chosen him over you and has increased him abundantly in knowledge and stature. And Allah gives his sovereignty to whom he wills. Allah granted him." When the children of Israel asked their prophet, it was from their prophet, of course, whose name we do not know, whether it was Simon, Shimon, or Samuel, but we will call him Samuel just to keep the story going, as Allah did not specify it nor his name. And by the way, as the Sheikh said, he did not specify the place or the time either. So, the story is entirely vague, no time, no place. Not even the Prophet himself. So, where do we start with the story? I don't know, historically, where to start exactly. When the Israelites asked their prophet Samuel to appoint a king, for them to fight under his command and leadership. So he prayed to God to send a king and said to him, "Show us who he is, send us a king and guide us to him, tell me who he is." Then God told him, "A man from the Israelites will enter the house you are in." He said, "All right." God told him, "You will find a container, or a vessel with oil. Take some of this oil and anoint this man's head, and make him king. He will be the important king." There was a man named Talit, who was searching for a lost donkey or mule. He thought, "Who should I go to? I'll go to our uncle Samuel, or the prophet Samuel, to pray for me to find the donkey or the animal. I don't know if it was a donkey or another type of animal, but it was an animal in any case." Anyway, he went to him, and our uncle Samuel took Talit's head and anointed it with oil, the oil he had taken, and anointed his head, saying to him, "You are now the king over the Israelites." A man searching for a lost donkey went to another, and the other anointed his head and told him, "You are the king." From searching for a donkey to becoming a king, quite remarkable indeed. And Samuel said to the Israelites, "God has appointed Talit as your king." However, they objected to him because he was merely a water carrier or a tanner. They objected to him because he was not from the tribe of prophecy, not from the tribe of Levi, nor from the tribe of kingship, which is the tribe of Judah. He was neither from the group of Levi nor from the group of Judah. They said, "Who is this mere water carrier or tanner to become our king?" They denied him kingship. This is what Ibn Kathir said about how things went here. This is the topic, and we understood it simply. When they asked him for a prophet, he asked God to send a prophet. He was told that someone would come to him, and he should anoint his head. Talit was looking for his donkey and couldn't find it, so he went to Samuel to ask him to pray for him to find the donkey. Instead of praying for him to find the donkey, Samuel told him, "Come, let me anoint your head, and you will become king over them." That's how the story went, really. So the Israelites said to him, "Who is this king? He's just a water carrier, a tanner, and he's not from the tribe of prophecy. He's not from the tribe of Levi, nor is he from the tribe of Judah, which is the tribe of kings. He's just an unknown person." So they denied him kingship. That's the main point, really. I want to ask, who is speaking here in the verse? Who is saying, "Their prophet said to them, indeed Allah has appointed Talit as a king for you"? Who is saying this? It is Allah who is narrating about it. Their prophet, meaning Allah, is saying, "Their prophet said to them, indeed Allah." Or is there someone else saying it? That's the real question. The second question is that the Quranic method in speech, in addressing, in the verses and in the Quran, always uses pronouns. But here, the word Allah is repeated 4 times, and I don't really know what the secret behind this is, to be honest. In any case, bear in mind that here, the verse begins with "their prophet said to them," and then what? They said, "How can he have authority over us?" Right, so their prophet told them, and they objected, saying, "How can he have authority over us when he is an unknown person and not from the lineage of prophecy?" He replied, "That God, who is Samuel, indeed, God has chosen him over you and increased him abundantly in knowledge and physique." All right, good. So, they said, here we return to the point we have emphasized repeatedly, that there is a debate. There is a debate between reality and the text 248. And their prophet said to them, "The sign of his kingship is that the ark will come to you, containing tranquility from your Lord and a remnant of what the family of Moses and the family of Aaron left behind, carried by the angels. Indeed, in that is a sign for you if you are believers." Ibn Kathir says. What does he say? He says that Samuel told the Israelites that you are objecting to Talit, the sign of his kingship over you, the sign that he will be your king, is that God will return the ark to you, and what was taken from you. What is the ark? When Goliath or their enemies, who are mentioned in the next verse, came, God set them upon them, and they took the ark from them. The ark contained Moses' staff, Aaron's staff, Moses' clothes, Aaron's clothes, the tablets, and all that. So, he told them that the sign of his kingship is that God will send you these things or give you these things, the ark with all these items, the Torah, and the prostration. So, the important thing is, and he will give you this ark, and return the tablets and all these things, which, according to the text, were carried by the angels between the sky and the earth, until they placed it before Talit. So, Talit is coming to you with the ark that contains Moses' staff, Aaron's staff, the tablets, and all the religious items. Therefore, he is your king, and this is a sign of kingship, indeed. So, what happened then? They believed in the prophecy of Shimon or Samuel and the kingship of Talit. God guided them to both, which is very good. I have no questions or issues with that. However, the debate continues, and their prophet told them, here is God in his heaven narrating what happened on earth. 249. When Talit set out with the troops, he said, indeed, God will test you with a river. Whoever drinks from it is not of me, and whoever does not taste it is indeed of me, except for those who scoop up a handful with their hand. But they drank from it, except for a few of them, when he and those who believed with him crossed it. They said, we have no strength today against Goliath and his soldiers. Those who were certain they would meet. God said, how many a small group has overcome a large group by God's permission, and God is with the patient. Ibn Kathir here explains that we must understand the situation, why Talit is going to meet Goliath. It means they are going to battle, with Talit leading his troops. And they went to face Goliath, whom God had set upon the Israelites. They took their belongings, accounted for their children, and took their lands and all that. They were going to fight to reclaim their kingdom, their children, and all these things. They had a prophet and a king leading them named Talit. So what happened here? When Talit set out, he went forth with 80,000 men and all that. Very well, Talit had 80,000 with him, leading them. And they were on their way. He said to them, "Look, we will encounter a river between Jordan and Palestine. This river is a test for you from God. Whoever scoops a handful with his hand and drinks can stay with us and continue the journey. But whoever sits and drinks to quench their thirst is not with us, not one of us, and is not from me." That's what happened, and I don't know why or what the wisdom behind it is. I don't know who this is, but it's a test. Anyway, among them, 4,000 scooped with their hands, listened to the instructions, and took a handful with their hands, which was very good. And the 76 drank to their fill, which was dangerous. Anyway, they crossed the river and said that we have no strength. The 4,000 who continued with Talit said, "We have no strength against Goliath and his soldiers. He has 100,000 with him. How can we stand against them?" So, the important thing is, the scholars with them, the scholars of the Israelites, told them not to panic and not to be afraid, and that God's promise is true and victory will come from God regardless of the equipment and preparation. They told them this, exactly. So, the important thing is, bear in mind that the Quran itself states that they said something. So, bear in mind that here also, when Talit set out with the soldiers, he said, it was indeed Talit who said, and God is truly conveying what Talit said, that God is testing you with a river. And they also said, as you know, they are the ones saying, and God is narrating what they said. In fact, they said, "We have no power today against Goliath and his soldiers." Then those who believed, as stated in the Quran, those who believed, they would meet God said, "How many a small group?" They are the ones saying, "How many a small group?" Not God. God is conveying what they said. Pay attention. It is the Quran that says in verse 249, by the way, those who believed they would meet God said, "How many a small group?" So, they are the ones who said it, and God conveyed what they said. It's clear that this is not God's words, it is their words, as stated in the Quran, and God conveyed what they said. Alright, the important part is verse 250, and when they went forth to face Goliath and his troops, they said, who said it? It was Saul and those with him, as they prepared to battle. Alright, our Lord, pour upon us patience and make firm our steps and support us against the disbelieving people. Who are they? The Israelites under the leadership of Saul are the ones saying this. God is conveying what they said. They are the ones who said it, very well. So, the important thing is that Saul's army, Saul and the 4,000 with him, faced Goliath's 100,000 soldiers. Saul didn't meet Goliath directly. Saul had 4,000, and 76 of them drank and went back, or I don't know where they went. And our friend Goliath, how many did he have? He had 100,000. Very well, the important thing is, the people were saying, grant us patience, and their numbers are large, and things like that, make our steps firm and keep us from fleeing and weakness, and such things. They were praying to God. In front of them, a very large army, and they were afraid. Very well, the important thing is. So, the important thing is, let's take verse 251. What does it say? It says, so they defeated them by God's permission, and David killed. Keep in mind, David was one of Saul's soldiers, just so the matter doesn't get confusing because he's just entered the story. He is David. Very well. So they defeated them by God's permission, and David killed Goliath. David killed Goliath, and we will explain how he did it. The important thing is that God granted him kingship and wisdom and taught him from what he willed. If it were not for God repelling some people by means of others, the earth would have been corrupted, but God is full of bounty to the worlds. Here, he says, what does he say? He says that Al-Qurtubi mentions when the time for battle came. David went to battle with Talit and said to him, I will fight alongside you. On the way, there was a stone or stones. A stone called out to him and said, O David, take me with you. You will kill Goliath with me. The important thing is, he took the stone or this pebble with him and reached the battlefield, and then he saw Goliath. What does he say then? He says, is there a challenger to duel with me, to come out and kill me? Of course, Goliath is the leader, and is waiting for Talit. So, Talit stood with the 4,000 men he had, and Goliath stood with his army. Then he said, is there anyone who can duel with me, to come out and challenge me here? The important thing is, Talit said to the group with him, who will kill him? Who will step forward? David stepped forward and said, whoever kills him, I will marry him to my daughter, give him control over my wealth, and grant him everything. So David said, I will kill him. Anyway, Talit said to him, you're young and short, and things like that. But our friend David insisted, took the sling, and picked up the stone that called out to him, saying, take me with you, with it you will kill Goliath. He placed the stone in the sling, swung it, and it went through Goliath's eye, and came out the back of his head. Your wisdom, O Lord. Anyway, Talit ended up giving him the kingdom, and everything as promised. He married his daughter to him, gave him the kingdom, and also gave him the prophecy of Shimon or Samuel, meaning he became both a prophet and a king, you see. All right, very good. The important thing is, my question here in this verse is, what is the connection between if Allah did not repel some people by means of others, the earth would have been corrupted, and what comes before it in the same verse? I mean, what is the relationship between the second part of the verse and the first part? Who sees a connection? Not at all, or simply doesn't understand it. I mean the last verse. Those are the signs of Allah. Those are the signs of Allah, which we recite to you in truth. And indeed, you are among the messengers. Pay attention. Who is reciting here? Is it Allah who is reciting his signs? I mean, here I don't know who is saying, of course, those are the signs of Allah. Who is saying those are the signs of Allah which we recite to you? Those are the signs of Allah which we recite to you in truth, and indeed, you are among the messengers. Pay attention. The speech here is directed to the Prophet Muhammad. It is clear that the 7 or 8 verses we were discussing are all verses being recited to the Prophet Muhammad. So, is it Allah who is reciting his verses to the Prophet Muhammad? Or is there someone else reciting his verses to the Prophet Muhammad? This was a question that truly occupied my mind, honestly. In any case, thank you very much, and I'll see you next Friday.